those Masonic impressions. It's Saturday here in St. Augustine. There's going to be a lot of people walking around, so you will see my camera flip sometimes very quickly because I don't want to get people who didn't give permission. You gotta wonder, there's a massive cathedral that is hidden behind that tree, but you wonder when there are churches this close to each other, right? I'm not gonna go into a lot of what I think I see there. You can see for yourself what that is. Now, I'm on Sevilla Street in Old Town. And what we're going to do today, the purpose of me coming down here, was to walk to the main plaza where the old slave market is. And there are many ways that I could do that. I decided to walk past all the Flagler stuff, the shill, Henry Flagler. And that kind of starts here. So this is now the office for this church, Treasury and Memorial, which I will tell you more about in a minute. But this house was supposedly built by Flagler for his daughter. She happened to be up in one of the Carolinas, I don't remember which. Recently after giving birth, or she gave birth up there. Henry Flagler had property all over. He had that dirty Rockefeller Standard Oil money. And she passed away up there. And we're supposed to believe the trolley tour guides tell you that he built this church for her next to her home in 1 year. Oh my goodness. So obviously this has been refacaded quite a bit, but look up there at the portholes. Old radiant chimneys. I want to walk in there because it's not my church and I'm not Presbyterian and I don't like walking all over other people's sacredness, so I'm not going to walk in there, but yeah, 1 year. 1 year. Look what they've done in the old bell tower and closed it all in. Look at all those portholes. Look at that wonderful cymatic device.
Thank you. I didn't zoom in. That's perfect.
1 year. His heart was so broken. Flagler Memorial Presbyterian Church. Look at that. Beautiful.
Memorial Presbyterian Church. If you are planning on exiting here, ladies and gentlemen, wait till I stop to ring the bell, at which time back down to the right and the right only.
The bane of everyone's existence, the folks here are these tour buses that spread lie after lie after lie. And look at that. Look at that. Let's just go to the front, as if you hadn't seen enough. Yeah. And these are examples of the infamous coquina, the limestone of the southeast. Limestone formed from shells in the ocean bed. Now, I admit I haven't read a single thing about what is supposed to be the truth about this church, because I know it's all lies. I just know what I hear these schmucks that Travitor buses say. 1889, if you can see that over the door. 1 year. Bell tower on every corner. Oh boy, here we go. It is funny to listen to these guys and the lies they tell. Oh my goodness. Look at over there, wonderful old Tartarian generating home. All that brick and terracotta. Now we're coming into Flagler College. I'm going to cut across Flagler College to get you over to King Street to walk in Constitution Plaza, where the Slave Market is. This was all supposed to have been built in 2 or 3 years by Henry Flagler, who was one of Rockefeller's whores. Standard Oil money. This was the Ponce de Leon Hotel that he, a shill, was supposed to have designed. And that Edison, who had a home in the southwest portion of Florida over, I can't remember the county, but on the Gulf Coast, created hot running water. So this is now the art building, and this is supposed to be the chimney where Edison's furnaces and whatnot were. The shill Henry Flagler had built 2 hotels here, this one and the one across the street, because after a year of being opened, it was not big enough for all the people that wanted to come here. So this story goes. And then he bought the one next door from another shill, carpetbagger. Still standing. Tartaria 101. The concrete and red brick and coquina banded with iron. Tartaria 101. I don't remember exactly when this became Flagler College or when the Ponce de Leon Hotel shut down. That's all the ridiculous story. Look at these Tartarian doors. Oh my goodness. Gotta wonder, I don't know, I mean, gosh, I guess I could do a whole video on where Flagler claims to have got all his bricks and terracotta for all these constructions. And of course, there's an octagon gazebo in the middle of all this. Of course there is. It's all being part of the old grid. Another octagon. part of the motherboard that linked in with the Castillo San Marcos, the big star fort, which is just across the way. Now, this hotel of ridiculous luxury is a liberal arts college. Story is Flagler came down to Florida and saw all the potential to turn it into the French Riviera of the American South and sought to do so. You think a money and land guy really had the skills to design all this? That it was built in 2 or 3 years? Hashtag history's all lies. Bricks and concrete. Tartaria 101. This is all still Flagler College. This was all the Ponce de Leon Hotel. This big round. Actually, it's not completely round. You see, it's full of bay windows. Can you see? It's supposed to be the dining room. You can take tours of Flagler College. I have not. So, I honestly don't know what's in there. Yeah, some real estate oil man designed all this. Turning the camera because there's people.
It is a nice day out.
Students. And in a second I'll turn the camera back. Okay. Did Henry Flagler build this? No. Did Henry Flagler do all that fleur-de-lis, pretty gold leafing shit? Yeah, I think he did that. All this pretty stuff. Yeah, I've never walked in. I didn't want to. Somebody else's school. Yeah. No. Of course, that one would have been open. So yeah, so this surround bay window building is supposed to have been the restaurant when it was the Ponce de Leon Hotel. I wonder if it was a big generator before. The old portholes. Look at, go to Google Earth and look down on the Ponce de Leon Hotel and the Leitner Museum, which back then, at the end of the 1800s, was called the Alcazar Hotel, which he also supposedly built. And just look at what they look like from the air. You know, I'm not sure if this is the original pool or the site of the original pool. Apparently there was a pool here. And like at the Alcazar, there were supposed to be mineral baths because all of this is on aquifer. So take a look. 2 years? What do you think? Mercury ball is still up there. coils, of course. Toroid electrical generating coils. These bastions out here are in very old photos. The oldest photos that I can find of Alcazar Hotel. It's open. These were here. Thing is, there are photos of a large building on this expanse of land before it was supposed to have been here. Isn't that interesting? Well, we won't go there. I've included them in some of my videos, all that stuff. I believe that that is all at least original to Flagler. Interesting shape, right? Yeah. See, I think they're older. Why would it be like that? And why would a hotel or a college have decorative, what are those things called? Mace balls? Yeah. Anyway. Radium fireplaces. Look at that. You can see where the holes have been filled in. So they don't work for radium. The front of the college. Villa, which is a hotel now. Lovely if it is outside. I've never been inside because it's completely destroyed inside. It's been rebuilt and turned into a snazzy hotel. Originally, the story is, I'll listen to what that bozo's saying about Flagler. More lies. Originally, this was built, we are told, as the summer home for the man who went on to build that, which he called the Casa Monica. He's supposed to have gone broke in 2 years. Flagler was supposed to have bought that, turned it into the Cordova, and now it's called the Casa Monica again. And though it's obviously been refacaded, most of what you see here in Vegas matches the very old photos. So the guy who built that, this is supposed to be his summer home. And it was being here in the summer home that made him think, hey, I can compete with Henry Flagler's hotel. So this is the front of Flagler College. Did Flagler build it? Hell no! Did he add all the pretty filigree in the stained glass windows? You didn't. Oh crap, I shouldn't have walked this way because I have on a skirt and I can't jump down there. Let me walk around. I want to walk inside the garden real quick. Yeah. I think his name was White. I think the guy who originally built the Casa Monica's name was White, but I could be wrong, and that is a quick duck, go search away. What I know of this place are photos I've seen online. Do you think he built it? No. There's a lot of finding going on here. Since I'm not here, let me look at these things. So, see, these are all around the west side of the Flagler Hotel boundary. Don't think they were built as flower gardens. But hey, what do I know? I again, this is coquina, limestone made out of shells. That is key to structures in Florida all the way up into Virginia. Yeah, why would a hotel have something like that? Can't figure that out. I don't know how successful I'm going to be walking into the courtyard. It's Saturday, and there's going to be a lot of tourists. There's the shill himself, Did Flagler. Shill, liar, carpetbagger, manipulator, thief. Oh, I have very interesting things to tell you about him when we get to slave market. Trying to avoid people as much as possible. Getting my camera in their faces. Right, now seriously, like my friend Andrew Zebron III is his channel, and his son works in a terracotta factory in upstate New York, and he's always fascinated by my stuff here because of all the terracotta. Andrew. Of course, you know this isn't a fountain, right? It's an energy generator, plasma generator. Look. See, when it was originally built, there were no windows there. And you know, though I can't prove it, but you know all those columns are filled with copper coils. Because that's how this place worked. Can you hear the bell? Canadian fireplaces with their holes filled in. Let's walk in really quick. See if I can walk in without getting too many people. So you can take tours. There are things I'm curious to see, but 1887. What do you think? Carrera and Hastings. You know what's interesting? The city of Hastings, which is in the farmland south and west of here, is named after Flagler's cousin, who had the first plantation there. I wonder if he keeps it all in the family. Let's walk in really quick. So you decide what was here and what you think Flagler added. You know what I think? This is a great rotunda. Can't go much farther than this because it is a school. And I'm not going to disrespect people trying to do the classes. So, you decide what you think about what may or may not have been here, and what Flagler may or may not have added. Wonderful. Steam radiator. That's enough of that. There's too many people.
Yeah, it's a very
Can't walk in there without getting some image. Oh, gosh, oh gee. Another active plasma collector. More Tartarian 101. Look at this. Huh. Look at all the terracotta, Andrew. Let's try a shot. Okay. Here. Shill. Lies. I gotta turn the camera because there's a whole bunch of people standing here.
We said hello if you see him tonight.
Admiring the lies. Shill. And his long empire coat, right? He did not build the Florida East Coast Railway. He did not build it. He found a series of railroad lines that were operating here. And what I believe he may well have done is hire engineers who were able to unify the track so that all the trains could run on each other's tracks. So that instead of having this particular line that went from Jacksonville to Hastings, or Jacksonville to Palatka, or St. Augustine to Southwest Florida, all the lines were uniform. I believe he did that. He did not build anything. He certainly did not build the stoneworks that connected all of the Florida Keys Islands. He certainly did not do that. So, look, old mercury ball technology there. And you can see there were not windows in here when he found it. Now, this was the Alcazar Hotel. This is now known as the Lightner Museum. He supposedly built this. He started the building of this 1 year after he completed this because he just couldn't keep, he didn't have enough rooms. It was so popular.
Right in front of the main entrance to the hotel.
So he built this, and this is supposed to be done in a ridiculous 2 years too. It goes back quite a ways. Look at those bell towers. Now, if you look at old photos that I've included in my video about the Lightner, or even old photos, you will see that where that sits used to be Santa Maria Creek. So, what did Flagler do? Well, it's beautiful inside. It also has waterworks outside and inside. What do I think Flagler did? I think Flagler made it pretty, the way he made this place pretty. He marketed it, which he was really good at. I also think that he finished the area behind the hotel, paved it, turned it into tennis courts and all kinds of things, because that would have all been the marsh around Santa Maria Creek, which abruptly now ends back in Lincolnville, which is the neighborhood behind. More that terracotta energy. And this is Casa Monica, that supposedly was built by the gentleman who owned the Villa Serrata back there, had that as a summer home, and he built this to compete with Flagler. Story goes, he shut down in less than 2 years, couldn't make it work. And for a time, there was a bridge that connected the two hotels, all kind of being one big hotel. He called that the Cordova. Flagler did when he took it over. And now you see it's the Casa Monica. As I said, it's been enormously refacaded, but if you look at old photos, it's kept to the grandeur. Now we're going to cross the street. We're coming up onto Constitution Park, which is the purpose of the whole venture. We're standing here at the corner of King and Cordova. This is King, this is Cordova. King will take you over the Bridge of Lions to the beachside to Anastasia Island. The old city wall used to be here, just on the other side of the Treasury Hotel. Really? The city wall used to be just on the other side of the Constellion Hotel? Really? Now think about that. What if that had anything to do with those mace balls? That construction that's now used to plant trees and flowers. What do you think? So we're coming up on the back of Governor's House. This was built, we're told, when, there we go, 1763, when Florida was Spanish. And they also called the rulers governors. I don't know how old this fountain is, but that's the back of Governor's House. So this was like City Hall or the state capitol, because this was the capital of East Florida during the Spanish occupation. Although you hear the Bozo telling stories. All these hotels closed during the Depression. Yeah. All reading the same stuff. You know, I know that I am spot on about some of this stuff because I've started being trolled by Flagler people. Flagler's a big name in Florida. It's a big brand. And I'm being trolled by them. So I'm hitting the nail on the head. Okay, Governor's House. It's interesting that there was a fountain here. It's very light. So this would have been like the state capitol. And I went in there last week. They're doing renovations. So you can't walk through the whole place. I can tell a story about it, but you see it. Like so many post offices, this used to be the post office. This grand building used to be the post office, but they can't claim that they built it to be a post office. They did find it. They just can't negotiate when it was built, as often as they do. So, this is the courtyard of Governor's House. Oh, there's a grackle. That's the cathedral right there. That terracotta spire and copper dome at the top is the 24 Treasury building, which you know I did a video about. That is Constitution Plaza, and it sounds like there's someone over there doing some kind of presentation. You know, it is rolling thunder time, so this is actually a huge civil rights location, which is part of what brought me down here. today. But now back in the slave days, most purchasing of slaves occurred on private property, someone's farm, in the house of a farm, that type of thing. But slave sales did occur here, across the street there, in Constitution Plaza, and I'll show you it's on the other side of the gazebo, but they also took place here. As did the lashing of slaves who broke the law. Now, if you were white or Spanish or, I suppose, French, you didn't have a lot of melanin in your skin, and you broke the law, you would be fined or you would go to jail. And this was the jail, too, by the way. But if you had a lot of melanin and you didn't have a pass or papers to say that you had the right to be walking around free after they rang the bell that indicated all slaves had to be back where they needed to be, you would be lashed. Right here, and that's the old slave market.
I think that I can convince
Isn't that nice? Lovely. That is the second oldest church in St. Augustine Trinity Parish. I don't need to tell you what Tartaria wonder that is. Yeah, right here. Slaves will be lashed. I'm just going to walk over on this side real quick. This is St. George Street. The other side of St. George Street is the famous shot that you'll often see of the old city gates, the pillars in the city gates. Oh, this guy, he's preaching. He's a preacher. So there's the cathedral. The church is supposed to have always been here, but if I have read correctly, this is the third one. The rest have all been down. And then next to that is the 24th Treasury building, which I did a video all about. I just could not believe that that was built in 1924. I actually thought it was a dirigible dock. And you know what? It might have been. Just because there's no history about it doesn't mean it isn't. So I'm going to run across the street here. So, there's a lot of history here. It talks about Governor's house across the street that we just walked by. I'm just going to walk past every historical marker so you can read. I don't know if you noticed in those pictures in that marker over there, there's a drawing of an old church that no longer stands. But of course, this place being burned. But there's still times. So, this is actually what I came here for. Andrew Young Crossing. At this location on June 9, 1964, civil rights movement leader Andrew Young led a march from Lincolnville, which is south of here, which was called Negro Town, to the Plaza de la Constitución, where they met violent opposition. Young had been sent to St. Augustine by Reverend Martin Luther King, a close friend and fellow advocate, to organize a peaceful protest for human rights. When Young led the group of demonstrators across the street to this occasion, he was beaten by a large white mob. It was the Klan. It was the Klan. Young recalls being struck down several times in the melee. The activists, being true to Dr. King's nonviolent strategy, walked away. Civil rights historians agree that this was one of the most pivotal events that eventually led to the passage of the civil rights legislation, scumbag LBJ. National press coverage of the protest in '64 helped Congress's filibuster on the civil rights vote. On July 2nd, 1964, Lyndon Johnson signed it into law. So what they have done here is mark his walk. The beginning of the walk.
The first thing he did is that woman that you gave me. He blamed the woman
This
that
guy,
God gave him, but God gave him the command.
I don't know how much you can hear since I've got my headphones on, but he's all fire and brimstone. You know,
listen, if you sin, that all Jesus is a good man.
last year, 2 years ago, when all the brouhaha was going on about Black Lives Matter and white racism, we had some Confederate monuments and civil war monuments removed from here. I'll let you read that. It's obviously been refacaded quite a bit. If you look at very old drawings, there's another marker back there. Let me go back to that for you. That's been there a long time. That actually might be the oldest monument in the park. We're walking backwards on. Andrew, by the way, went on to become a senator in Georgia. He was a pastor, and he was appointed during the Carter administration to ambassador. Just let me read that. I don't know what this is, but what does it say it is? Water landmark.
We still got a lot of freedom here. We still got some really nice, good politicians here also. And I'm telling you what, I love the police and the law enforcement officers too. I want you to know that. I back them 100%. But let me tell you something.
Let me walk over and
I'm going to go into Christians again.
the Treasury.
When you vote,
24 Constitution.
yes, I'm going to say it. When you vote, when they hand you that little slip with
So
all
if you
those names on
remember,
it, and they got the little box right there side it, and you sign that you're going to put a
on
check
this
there,
wonderful building.
you
It is
just
an
told
old
God what you
skyscraper in
stand
St.
for.
Augustine.
Do
It's
your
so
homework
tall,
before you vote for me.
and that ended the concept of skyscraper.
God so loved the world. You weren't talking about this
Seen
man.
old photos.
You weren't talking about your Mercedes Benz. You ain't talking about
It
your
was supposedly built the same time that the new Bridge of Lions was built. And there are photos of the Bridge of Lions being constructed and this being constructed at the same time.
I'm thinking like, wow, God is so amazing. Bless you.
What I don't understand is even though this guy, and now I can't remember his name, remember the architect, he built some other lovely things here in town. He built, well, he found, what is the old water department building by me, and he is accredited with the building that he found, the old Orange County School. You see that at the
You
top?
go there.
That's
You
just
need to
a
get
little
that.
too
We're not out
much
here trying to promote somebody to come
for
out ministry,
office
but we're out here to tell you
building.
the truth.
And it lights up at night.
I'm looking at signs that I took and put out this morning.
I don't
They're
know.
so like,
Maybe
when you look at the abortion rate in America.
maybe the people that owned this
Yeah, I
building
know, I'm going there too.
had access to how this stuff still worked.
You know,
And maybe
if you want to really get under
they
God's
built
skin,
that
you start killing
way.
people. You know what they didn't tell you about
And maybe they're
Ukraine?
still benefiting from
The
the free energy
Ukrainian
from it.
president is
That
looking,
is going on
Ukraine
in
is
the
looking
world.
at the
A
wrath
lot
of
of
Almighty God.
very
You know
old
why? I'm going to tell you why now.
in
Because of this.
Europe
Ukraine
are still
president,
running on
when the Poland and the other countries around them did not allow abortion in their country, the Ukrainian president told them under seven circumstances they was allowed to come to Ukraine and abort the baby.
where that top
And the
dome
last statement
is
he made
right
was,
there
it's your
above
one
the
choice. And don't you tell me that didn't
was
get
the old
God's attention.
entrance to the bank.
America, we are in the crosshairs of Almighty God with these
Isn't that
babies being
suspicious?
murdered.
Tartaria doors.
I wonder why they
You can't go in there, it's
church.
locked. That's all office buildings up there, including the St. Augustine
It's a man's choice.
Department of Archaeology or whatever it's called.
Every one of those babies right now is in heaven
More
with
tools.
God.
Look at,
And when I look at the black population, the black population make up 13% of the population in
and
America.
that right
But
there,
guess
that's
what?
gallery, that was a movie theater.
The abortion rate among the black folks are 33%.
I'm still very suspect of all this.
Man, I'm telling you what,
I still think
when
it has
abortion
free
got
energy
started, I can't
technology
call a
in
lady
it,
name
and
right
I
off.
still think that it might have been originally built.
Margaret Sanger was a white woman, but she believed in abortion. So what she did was she took her a diabolical
a dock
scheme into the black
for
church and told them that you
We
all
had-
need to come up with a
we
plan
had a
where that you don't
dirigible
allow these little
docking
poor
field
black kids to be born,
about
and
an
you don't
hour
need to allow
south
these little sick
in
kids with
Flagler Beach.
Down syndrome
There
and
was
other
one
stuff.
on the west side
and you know what?
of
They
Florida,
came into it.
in
That's why the abortion rate is
either
so
Clearwater
high amongst
or
the
St.
black,
Pete.
because the black pastors, and to this day, the black pastors is saying
And we had one in
anything about abortion
Jacksonville,
in the black
which
church.
is just an hour north.
Man, I want to get a chance to get
So
in
it
one
could
of the
have been.
pulpits also.
There was also
How is it that you can sit around and you
electric
can absolutely say
streetcars
there's nothing wrong with this
that
if
ran
it's in the Bible? Now, let me
in
tell
front
you
of
something.
Governor's
Some of y'all got
house,
some different Bibles, but it don't matter. It don't
east
change God's
on
word.
King Street.
It don't change God's word one bit.
And originally,
Don't
they
change
went
God's
over
word
the
one bit.
bridge all the way
So,
out
let me
to
ask you a question.
Anastasia Island and then came back and came down the side of King Street. After the new bridge was built, the streetcar just went up and down King Street. I think it actually went all the way to the San Sebastian River, which is just a few blocks west of here, where Henry Flagler's main train station
God
was.
love you more than you can imagine.
So what I'm trying to say is, if a dirigible dock
When Jesus was hanging
here
on that cross,
they could
guess
get
what?
on the
You gotta walk
streetcar
around here now. He's seeing you.
and go right to the hotels right
Some of
there.
you have been molested. Some of you have been abused by your own family
Fire and
members.
brimstone,
Some of you
but
are walking
I just
around with
wanted to show
hurt.
you
Some of you
the,
are going through so
the
much
satellite
crazy
battery
stuff right
of
now.
the
And God is saying,
octagonal
come to me.
gazebo.
Lord is saying, come to me. Not
Yes,
just on Sunday
gazebo.
morning, but he says, come to me. All of you
Grapples.
that
I love
are
grapples.
laden and heavy laden, he said, bring your cares to me because I care for you. Man,
So
in
in
the church
here,
I go into it and I can't raise my
there were
hand and say,
two
hallelujah, thank you,
statues
Lord.
that
And you're
were
going to put
removed.
me out?
And
That tells
it's
me you
really
ain't got no
sad
plans on going to heaven,
because when they
there's gonna be a
were
glorious
digging them
place.
out, they found what they believed were Civil War skeletons.
I look back now and I just started to cry. You know what? My Sundays never end. When I'm in my car, I'm praising God. When I'm walking down the street, I'm praising God. Let me tell you something. Don't you allow, just because you're married, don't you allow your spouse to score history.
On this corner used to stand the Hotel St. Augustine. Trying to remember what video That is not the Hotel St. Augustine now, but that's where it used to be. And it burned down in the fire. I'm trying to remember what video I discussed that in, but... Oh, you know what? I think I discussed that in the video about the Treasury building.
To you that don't believe,
So this is a memorial for all of those civil rights marchers who were beaten and jailed and horribly treated by the Klan that was here. You read that about jackass Andrew Jackson. East of the Suwannee River, so that's like the song, way down upon the Suwannee River. Suwannee River is up near, north of Gainesville, up near Tallahassee. Now I want you to envision that back in the day, when I showed old photos, everything used to end right here. There are old pictures of the boat, what do you call it? The boat basin being right here. That's the old slave market right there. And there are pictures of the boat basin being right here in front of the slave market. Then it was expanded out. Then came the time when they started building these things on the corners. So they reinforced all of this. Again, that's where the Hotel St. Augustine stood. At the end of that statue's there, that was the second line of where it was all filled in. And a seawall built. And then when they built the bridge that's standing now, which is the third bridge, they really did a reclamation project out there and filled in a whole bunch of stuff. That's a whole other story. Oh, while I'm here, let me just show you real quick. This is the oldest street in St. Augustine, we are told, named after the butcher, Menendez de Avila. A man who was attributed with settling this place. There was a wonderful bar on Avila Street called Stogie's. They have single malt scotch and beer and coffee and fire pits, so you can sit and select your single malt scotch, smoke a cigar, have a cup of coffee, and sit by the fire pit, and they have live music all the time. Wonderful, wonderful place. Wonderful. Okay, so this is a slave market. Looking for the sign. I think it's on, might be on the other side of that St. James County sign. Let's see. So you see where it says here, for the first time a standard system of weights and measures was introduced in the county. So let me just say that standardization of weights and measures is, when that happened, is in dispute. Florida was Spanish, and then it was English for 20 years, and then it was Spanish again, and then it became America. And most accounts attributed the standard system of weights and measures to the British occupation, but who knows, right? this is it. I'm trying not to get slavey. So this is it. And I want you to remember the Kansas River used to be right here where there was a boat basin where the boats could come up. Let me digress a minute because you can see the Bridge of Lions is open. It's a double bascule bridge, so the two sides open up when the sailboats go through. And for people that live here, when the bridge is up, it's really a nightmare because there's only two ways over to the beach side. So, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, see all this right here? This all the way to the bridge, this used to be the river. So, can you see that? From 1605 to 1765, there stood on this side a guardhouse and watchtower. Under British rule, it became the market and a place for public auction, ever since called the slave market. So by my research, this is the third structure here. And these wonderful old bricks. This is where I've seen a lot of homeless people hang out. I'm just going to lean here and read a few things from my little paper. So yeah, so in 1778 was a guardhouse. It was a market. The boats came right up to what is now that park. As I said, there are lots of old drawings that will prove that. Yeah, the bridge, that version of the Bridge of Lions, the third version of the Bridge of Lions, the one that stood up like that out of the water, was built in 24, if I remember correctly, and it was at that time that they filled in all of that out there. So in 1823, there is a permit that mentions the removing of a wall on the north side. This is the north side here. So there would have been a wall here, but we also know that it used to be a guardhouse, so that stands to reason. In 1851, there are records of it being law to acquire a permit to display and inspect beef, poultry, and fish here, and to butcher on site as a market. So it was American territory then, and so the county of St. John's was making money. See, they were issuing permits. In 1846, it is noted that the city and the county would charge a fee not to exceed 50 cents to whip escaped Negroes. It was not to exceed 39 lashes. In 1837, St. John's County charged $1 for each slave sale that was held here. In 1838, a Negro slave, as it's listed, by the name of Sally, was purchased by a Mr. William Travers for $701. Now, if that is not enough. Let's get in a little bit more into the shill that Henry Flagler was. He had a lot of money invested in his hotels.
What are you doing? He said, I'm on the battlefield.
He had money invested in his railroad endeavors and the reconstruction of the structures that he found that became his home down in Palm Beach County, Whitehall, and the other Flagler hotels that he found, most notably the Breakers. He hired photographers and dark-skinned folk to dress in rags and come down here around and in this market and Latin-looking people to wear period clothing and set up faux slave sale photos or slave whipping photos. Turn those into postcards and send them all up into the north to attract the morbid curiosity of the American about the fascinating habits of the Southerner. Yeah. Yeah. So we know about Andrew Young. That's actually why I came here today, to film The Walk. The author Ralph Waldo Emerson was 23 when he came here to St. Augustine. He apparently was suffering from tuberculosis, and he had been told by several people that the balmy weather here would help him heal. So he came on down. And he was at some kind of, the story goes, church meeting around here somewhere, around here in view of the slave market. Of course, there was a hotel on both sides then. Anyway, the story goes that he watched the sale of African women and orphaned children, and he had no idea, and he was disgusted and revolted, and it made him an abolitionist. Do you think that was built in 1924? And if it was, what is all that stuff up there for? That's an awful lot of plasma collector, biomagnetic copper dome
You think God thought it was okay for King David to take Uriah's wife and put him in jail? You're not. Did God deal with it? Let's see. All of a sudden, he gets the man's wife.
I hope you can hear me over Mr. Fire and Brimstone.
So God takes a prophet named Nathan, and he sends him in and says, Nathan,
Oh, bell
go
tower.
in and give David his
Guard tower. Oh, excuse me, it was guard tower. So, I think I've been walking around for over an hour here. And you know, I could walk for hours up and down every street and show you so many things. But, this is really what I wanted to show you. The boats would come up right there where that man is walking, unload the shackled slaves. They'll be lined up in here or at Governor House, which is right on the other side of the park. and sold right next to the people butchering sides of beef.
So King David,
Let me see where to end this. Let's see if I can cross the street and end it with a nice panoramic view for you. So this is King Street here, and you can see the bell tower of the Basilica, and you can see part of Flagler College. It's so busy here. It's so busy here. Now I'm getting into so many people, and I want to take pictures of people without the permission. So I'll film cars and people walking. Yep, all this used to be a boat basin, as they call it. Let me just see. I want to get a nice panoramic shot. I want to get up to one of the lions if I can, and I want to get you a nice panoramic shot of the fort and end there. This is San Marco Drive, which when you get over there becomes Marine Street. And if you keep going in that direction, you will end up at the National Cemetery, St. Francis Barracks, and the pyramids that I've made at least 3 videos about. Let's see if I can cross. I think I can cross. Such a dangerous place. Try to cross. But I used to live in New York City, so I crossed whenever I want. I'm putting the camera down because there's tons of people here. Okay, I'm gonna get up to one of the lions. Beautiful, right? It's in the Kansas River. And that property across the river is referred to as Davis Shores, Anastasia Island, Bridge of Lions, and here are the lions. These apparently were sculpted to mimic 2 lions that stand out in front of some chapel, some Medici chapel. Yeah, 1924. That's when the bridge was supposed to have been built, when the Treasury building was supposed to be built. There's the bridge. Coquina. In its natural state. Actually, I think those are crumbled pieces. All of Anastasia Island over there was coquina quarry. And if I were to keep walking around in the city portion of St. Augustine, you would see that there are very old buildings and walls that are built of coquina. Coquina is said to be the rock that saved St. Augustine. It's been burned down so many times, and the only things that survived were built of coquina. In fact, the chapel on the other side of the Treasury building, I believe, was burned down 3 times. And it was after the second burning, and I don't remember if that was America or Spain. I think it was Spain. I think it was the second Spanish occupation that they got bright and decided, well, gee, maybe we should build this out of coquina since our church keeps burning down. November to January, we have this thing called Nights of Light, where all of this is lit up. I don't know if you can see, but like on the Casa Reina right there, you can see the lights are still there. They don't take the lights down, obviously. See, big chunks of coquina there. Part of the support system for when they filled all of the same to build the Bridge of Lions. Would you look at those water taxis? I haven't seen those before. Those are hilarious. I don't come down here on Saturdays very often. I can't take listening to all the lies that the tour guides tell, and tourists. Funny, I've lived in so many tourist places, and I keep moving to New Orleans, New York City, Washington, D.C., and now St. Augustine. Oh my God, look at that. It's like a floating bar. Oh my God. Look at that. Holy cow. That is so cool. Holy cow, I love that. You know, I used to live in Ormond Beach, which is north of Daytona Beach. And my ex and I, well, he had a sailboat, and we would go down to New Smyrna Beach, which is where the closest inlet access to the ocean is, where the Halifax River meets the Atlantic Ocean. And there's an area called Disappearing Island where the sorry, that was probably really loud. I just knocked my earphones off. There was an area where when the Army Corps of Engineers constantly dredging that area. And so there are huge sand dunes there. And people go there on the weekends and got the boats and wait for the tide to come back in. When the tide is out, you've got this beach in the middle of the inlet. And they frolic and they bring their dogs and things. But anyway, there are all these really cool pontoon boats that are vendors of different things. A barbecue boat, and a fried chicken boat, and an ice cream boat. I've never seen anything like that. Sorry, I just started talking about stuff. It's always windy here. My phone keeps being flipped off with this little holder thing. And I can't see what I'm filming at all, so I hope you guys have a good view. It's so bright. I'm trying to remember when this last rebuilding of the seawall happened. It was in the video where I talked about all of the hotels. San Marco, which was across the street from the fort, and the St. Augustine. So these stairs are all the remains of the old walking access to our kids and our kids. Look at the video and I show you a picture of the stairs are all that remain. Those were the stairs. It was the early 80s that this was. And it's very nice. Also, I remember I wasn't living here in St. Augustine at the time. I was living down in Ormond Beach. redid the bridge. So they built a temporary bridge, and they closed the current bridge and shored it all up, and it took, I think, 6 years. There are pictures and details about that in one of my old videos too. Maybe you can see the lighthouse over there. Like I said, I really can't see. It's so bright I can't see anything. That's the second position of the lighthouse. The first lighthouse floated down and literally was washed away during the hurricane. What was left of it? All that's left of the old lighthouse. If you go to the lighthouse currently over on Osage Island and you cross the street from where the light, not cross the street, it's like crossing the road. There is a place to put your boat in, and if you walk out there, the tide is out. You can see the old foundation of the old lighthouse. So if you can see across the water, it's the Line Bridge, and then that area over there is called the Line Beach, and that's the way out to the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. Incredibly difficult, dangerous, very, very, very dangerous, challenging body of water to navigate. Very. So I wanted to come to the fort and end it here. So all this coquina would have been quarried over there at the quarries, King's Quarries. There's more than one over there. All of this would have come from that side. Part of the construction of the fort itself and the fortifications. And you see that line. It's always like that. There's always a line. Probably should end it now because there are a lot of kids. And it's very unethical of me to film kids, so it's part of what's called the colonial quarter, the oldest part of St. Augustine. I'm just going to walk here through the parking lot. Don't get any kids. My cover photo for my Rumble channel has an aerial view of this place. Where you can see what's left of the sacred geometry that allowed it to work when it was the battery that hooked up with the smaller star, which was south at the end of what is now St. Francis Barracks, north at what came to be known as Fort Jose, west, number 2, Fort Picolata on the St. Johns River, which is gone, and whatever originally was at Fort Matanzas, which is no longer a star. And I have very old Spanish maps that show it as being, looks like looks shaped like an amphitheater. So of course it wasn't a fort. So there it is. More than one moat when it was working. When it was working as an energy generator, it had more than one moat. And if you look at the aerial photos, you can see when Flagler ran this town and the fort was in great, great ruin, he set the grass here up as a golf course. Yeah, as a golf course. All the indigenous people that have been imprisoned and killed in the fort. And you can only imagine that they're buried out here somewhere. But Flagler the shill turned it into a golf course. So this in front of us here, this earthwork, this was the Kubo line. And it was part of the first series of fortifications that walled the city. We've gone all the way to the San Sebastian River on the other side of the city. What you see there are the old city gates. That's St. George Street, which now is like Bourbon Street. You can't drive cars on it. I've managed to not run into any kids, so that's why I'm still filming. There was another line. Do you remember when we were over walking? You can see, this is part of the old moat. You see the indentation. Would have ran along there. And then there was a moat on the inside too, which I have found is how the star forts work. When I went to Fort Caroline and Fort Clinch, which are in Jacksonville, you can see that there were two moats. There was an outer moat and an inner moat. There was an outer moat, some kind of wall, and then another moat. So there was a moat along the Kubo line, and then there was a moat inside around the structure itself, the four-pointed star. So the Rosario line, which was the western line, this is the, this is the east-west line. The north-south line was the Rosario line, which would have been on the other side of, well, actually, I don't know what you can see. There's another piece of the earthwork there, the Kubo line, and then there's an old wooden building on the other side of it. That's Potter's Museum. That supposedly is where the head of Osceola was on display in alcohol after he died here in the fort. But just on the other side of there was the original Rosario line, which would have been an earthwork like that with earth, logs, and then they covered it with what's known as Spanish bayonet. So, very painful sticker. That there is the Huguenot Cemetery. It was the first cemetery built outside of the city wall. And Huguenot referring to the French Protestants who came here trying to get away from crazy Catholicism. The people that were here actually before the Spanish, who Menendez de Avila was sent by King Philip to convert or slaughter. And he did a lot of slaughtering. That's why the Matanzas River is called Matanzas, because it means slaughter. That's another story for another day. But it's the basis of the story behind Fort Caroline and Fort Matanzas. Anyway, yellow fever hit St. Augustine twice. This was started as a cemetery outside of the city gates for non-Catholics. And it filled up very quickly after the second yellow fever. I did like the Huguenot Cemetery, which I did about. It's open the third Saturday of every month. So the third Saturday of May, I will be here walking around. Beyond that, it's closed off. I mean, there are places where you can jump the fence, and you can see what people have. That's not something that I would do. Sitting on an artesianal well, the same artesianal well that feeds the Fountain of Youth. Oh, I got kids. So, right here, this is the visitor center. On this site was the Hotel San Marcos, which was the largest hotel in St. Augustine. It was here before Flagler got here. It is believed that the reason that it burned down is because Flagler burned it down. This is where it stood. And interestingly enough, just this last year, this hotel opened up here. I think it's called the Castillo. And if you look at old pictures of the Hotel San Marcos, that's what they were going for when they built that, which is nice. I'm not sure how old this is. It's all built out of coquina. See? And there are old maps in there that give everything away. Give away the tampering of history. Maps that were written in what would have been 1700 and something, where someone with a different instrument altogether and a different color of ink added a 1 to it. Lovely building. There's that ball, coquina ball that we're supposed to believe was there and constructed simply to mark the beginning of the old Spanish Trail, that being a path, a road that went from here, St. Augustine, all the way to San Diego, California.
I can get a parking ticket because I'm on the line.
Nope, I don't believe that what that ball's for. I believe that that ball was part of the Antiquitech in the fort. And I think there was more than one. You think of ball bearings. This is currently Ripley's Believe It or Not. It was originally built as the, the name of the guy that's supposed to have built it. Of course, he didn't build it. Look at all those Moorish windows. Here we go. Warden. Here we go, I'll let you read that. Warden Winter House. Ripley used to stay here when he came to St. Augustine. And he loved it, apparently. And started trying to get it back then. The story is the year after he died, and Mr. Warden died, the family sold it to him. Now, can you see that? We've got David over there. There's a giant copy of David. Used to be out here on the street corner. But, you know, David is a young, masculine, muscular, naked gentleman. And, caused a lot of wrecks, so I got rid of it. So I'm going to end right here at San Marco and Shenandoah at the new Castillo Hotel. It was built on a architectural style of the hotel in Lighthouse. That's the parking garage. Right on the other side of this wrought iron is what's left of the outer moat that would have gone around the fort. And it actually continues all the way to San Sebastian River, which is not that big. Can you see the end of the road? The San Sebastian River's out there. That's where the moat ran to. Yeah, that's what's left of the waterworks. It's kind of a moat and a parking garage. It would have gone all the way. If you go down to the San Sebastian down there, you'll see there's all kinds of culverts letting the water out. Okay, so I'm gonna walk home. I think I'm gonna stop at my favorite Thai restaurant here on San Marco and have a beer and some pad Thai after all this talking and walking. So, thank you so much for walking around with me today. As usual, if you have any questions about anything that you saw and you want more information, just let me know. Or if there's anything in St. Augustine that you're interested in specifically, just give me a shout. And again, thank you so much. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Blue Water, for sharing my video that I made with Andrew about mysterious structures at the bottom of Lake Superior in Michigan. This is Joyce with MedusaWasFramed saying aloha. Thank you so much.